to rock. Then having fun. Then holding our tongue. Go getters on the team and we're getting it done. Shout out to the best, number one. Into a vision. Mind your business.
Oh, wait again a minute. Wait again a minute.
Wait again a minute.
Sing it, Supremes.
Wait again a minute. Wait again a minute.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Wait Again a Minute, brought to you by Wait Again a Minute Podcast. Today is March the 11th, 2021, and tonight's topic is about a mother's love, and we have Miss Candy with us.
Hello. So, Miss Candy, tonight we're going to talk about a mother's love, and we are talking about Rashard, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
So you want to tell us a little bit about Rashard?
Okay, so Rashard is my oldest son. He turned 40 February 26th, and he has been incarcerated since 1997.
Oh, wow. Incarcerated. What has he been incarcerated for that long?
So initially he had 28 different charges.
Okay.
In the system, and I don't mean it lightly. They do what they call stack charges, so that if you're able to obtain a good lawyer, then that lawyer can have some of those stack charges dismissed or non-processed.
Oh, okay. So that's how that works. When they give you a whole bunch of charges,
Yeah.
sometimes when they arrest people, they give them a whole bunch of charges.
Absolutely.
Then as the case go on, the charges start dropping off.
Right.
Oh, okay. So that's based on how good your lawyer is.
Right.
Okay.
And they do that to say,
Ida, we are waiting on Rashard to call in right now.
yes.
So when he calls in, we're going to join him in with us, everyone. So I think right
She ain't
now.
answered.
Hello?
Go ahead.
So, with the stack charges, normally they act as if they're giving you a plea deal. And that's what they call it, a plea deal. And that takes off some of the stack charges, which ends up being a less amount of time. If you happen to have a public defender, he may be able to also do the same thing.
So do you have a public defender?
Unfortunately. Well, fortunately he did. He had Timothy Miller, who's no longer with us.
Okay.
And he, I believe he went to Virginia Beach, but he's no longer practicing.
Okay.
He was excellent. But his co-defender also was given a public defender. And it was a conflict of interest, so he couldn't have a public defender and the co-defender have a public defender, so he ended up with
Okay, so
another attorney.
Okay, so why is that though? Why two defendants can't have a public defender if they can't afford an attorney?
Because
I thought that was their right to get one appointed to them.
and it is,
Yes.
but in the same office. Both of them was in the same office, so
Right.
you may accidentally discuss Rashard, and she may accidentally discuss the co-defendant, maybe not even giving names over lunch.
Is a conflict.
So it's a conflict of interest. So what they did, they reappointed them co-defendants.
Okay.
I mean, public defenders.
Okay, so we have Rashard on the line now. Hello, Rashard.
Hello, ladies.
Hi, Rashard.
How
How y'all
are you?
doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good for the most part. I'm alive, so I can't complain.
Ain't no need to
I know that's
complain.
right.
It could be another way. Thank God for that. So tell our viewers a little bit about Rashard. Like, who is Rashard? Start, if you can, a little bit from adolescent up until now.
Okay. For the most part, Rashard was just the normal kid growing up around Saratoga. A two-parent household. My mother had been married, I think, 14 years at the time.
Okay.
So, just the normal stuff. I went to Lakeland. I went to school on a regular basis. Standing on my mama's house, you had to go to school on a regular basis.
Okay, that's right.
Uh, she was the I would say the stereotypical black mother. Like she was strong. She had been through a lot. She had did a lot on her own. So she always pushed us to do better or want to be better. And when we didn't, or when we went astray, she was quick to recommend us and try to get us back on the right track. And I think her, and it's crazy, like her trying to provide a better opportunity for us actually led to me getting into more stuff. She had to find work where she can. She ended up getting a night job, which kept her working overnight. And by us not being like toddlers and anything, I think I was 15 when she found the job. One of my brothers was 13, the other one was 10. And my stepmom was working overnight. So she would leave me in charge and leave out and be like, well, look at your brothers, and I'll be back by the time y'all go to school in the morning. And me being me, for whatever reason, she would leave. I would wait like 20, 30 minutes for her to leave, and then I was just out all over suffering. And I think that just led to me seeing more than what I was seeing around the neighborhood and getting into more than what I would usually get into around the neighborhood.
So basically, while she was out providing for you guys, you saw it as a way of getting out and, doing what Rashard wanted to do.
Yeah, for the most part.
You're gonna get a beating.
And it was, and it was crazy because like, what other choice did she have? Like, if she didn't go out and work, then how she would provide for her 3 kids?
That's right.
But me being young at the time, all I knew was, well, she's gone. So now I can go to the party at the Union Hall, or now I can go to South Suffolk and do this, or now I can go over this place. And it's just...
Wait a damn minute.
So you spilling the beans to where Miss Candy don't even know.
Some of the stuff might be new. Some of the stuff probably ain't. Like since I've been incarcerated, we've grown so much closer.
Okay.
And discussed a lot of things.
Okay.
Oh, well, that's a good thing.
That's understandable. Okay, so bring us up to speed. So how did Rashard get into these different activities, and what led you to being incarcerated for so long?
Okay. Just the wrong crowd. Like, I had somebody in my life who I guess saw me as an opportunity to do things or help him to do things that weren't on the up and up. And it just, I don't know. It's like, I looked up to him. Out of all of my brothers and my grandchildren, like, I'm the oldest.
Okay.
And I didn't really deal with too many older guys. I dealt with Andre Draken. I used to go to school with him, so I used to look up at him and ask him questions. And my co-defendant. And I don't know.
So
it's like one minute we just riding around looking for females, going to the mall and doing those type of activities, to we riding around pulling robberies and just getting in all type of trouble.
So your co-defendant became like a big brother to you, and so you saying that your co-defendant pretty much led you into doing different crimes or different activities or whatever you was doing?
He provided opportunities. Like, he was like a big brother. I knew my co-defendant since we was like going to Thomas Jefferson Elementary School. Okay. So, and we did everything from slept in the same bed, took baths together. Like, we literally grew up. I mean, before my mother got married and his mother got married, like, it was like 7 of us staying in a 2-bedroom house. So we were really family.
Okay.
Okay.
And for the most part, it wasn't nothing that he couldn't have asked me to do that I wouldn't have done. Even things that I knew I shouldn't have done.
Right.
So now that you're older and everything has taken place, how do you feel now about that co-defendant? Do you look back and think that maybe he was the wrong friend for you, or he was just leading you down the wrong way, clearly. But how do you actually like feel about him now when you think back to the things that y'all was doing as kids up until teenagers, up until now you're an adult and you're incarcerated?
Alright, so initially when I opened my eyes, I was furious. Like my early part of my doing time, like when they couldn't even put us nowhere in each other. Like they had us on keep separate list, and I was angry. Like, oh, he tricked me. Oh, he could have did this. He could have did that. But now, me today, as a 40-year-old man, I realize that, like, yeah, he helped, but I made decisions,
Right.
and I have to live with those consequences. Like, he's out now, and I feel no type of way about it. Like, I'm not upset.
You're not?
I don't feel like, oh, he should be in here with me still or none of that. It's just how life played out. And then our family is so close-knit. It's like, because he's my son's uncle.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot of mixed emotions, but for the most part, I'm just ambivalent. Like,
So,
I try not to even put too much thought into it, or him per se.
okay. So now what you're saying that he's out. So when you're sitting still in prison and he's out, at no point during the nighttime when you're there alone, do you really think about like what took place to cause him to be out right now and you still be there, or, you know, why he's out? You never question any of that to yourself?
I do, but I don't question it towards like him.
Mm-hmm.
I look at the system and try to figure out like how does it equate.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Like a juvenile and an adult commit crimes, and then you let the adult out and leave the juvenile.
Right.
But as far as like him per se, like I know, which is probably another show, I know why he's out and how he got out, and
Okay.
I tilt my hat to it because his wife put in a lot of work for him.
Okay.
She did things that she was knowledgeable of that I didn't have knowledge of, or my advocates didn't have knowledge of. So I don't fault him for that or her.
Right.
Right.
But the system in itself that knows the circumstance of the case overall, like, it blows my mind that they did it that way, the way they did it.
Okay.
So have he tried to reach out to you at all since he's been home?
Nah, nah, not at all.
Oh. Wow.
So you don't think he hold no type of guilt or fault for you being locked up? Do you feel like he ever have blamed himself for you being in there?
Apologize.
Can you say one more time?
Do you feel like he's ever blamed himself for you being incarcerated? Like he took blame for everything that took place of both of y'all getting locked up?
Nah, I don't think so. The last correspondence we had or communication we had was probably, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago, and from the communication, I didn't get the impression that he felt responsible for me getting locked up or us being in this situation at all.
Oh, he did. Oh, so he didn't take blame. He took no blame.
Not at all.
So,
Oh wow.
so Rashard, how much time
Yes.
were you actually given?
I was given 188 years. They suspended 115 years and left me with a 73-year active sentence.
73 years.
What?
Before he's eligible for parole. But thank God for Governor Northam and his new law.
So,
So
what is
when
it, the
he
new
eligible
law?
for parole?
Oh, the juvenile law that they passed, it's supposed to went into effect July the 1st, 2020. The Supreme Court had ruled in 2011 or 12 that it was cruel and unusual punishment to sentence a juvenile to life. So Virginia, being the great state that it is, was like, well, we don't give people life, we give them hundreds of years. That's not the same as life.
It's the same as
So,
life.
a legislative battle went on, and the Democrats passed a bill saying that these years are synonymous with a life, and after 20 years, a juvenile is eligible for parole.
So have you met that 20 years now, haven't you?
Passed it.
So do you know when you're gonna go up for parole?
I was supposed to go up July the 1st, 2020.
Well, what happened?
But due to COVID and early release and just the law was passed, but it wasn't no rules passed with it. It wasn't no structure like y'all should do this, that, third. So it's just a matter of time.
So it's basically a waiting game for you right now.
Right. It's like he getting
Yes.
caught up in the mix.
So what other things have y'all did to before the whole parole, before the other law took place? What other things were y'all trying to do to get some of the time cut down, or go back in front of a judge, or however that goes?
For the most part, I've tried everything. Like everything that you can do legally, I've tried since I've been incarcerated. And the last thing I had tried in 2017, I had filed for a conditional pardon. And it's ironic. That's the same thing my co-defendant did. That's how he got released on a conditional pardon. So I filed for one, and it's just been crickets. They came and see me in January of 2020. The parole board investigated to speak to me about my conditional pardon. But since then, I haven't been given a response or turned down or anything. Nobody else has said anything about it.
Now, Rashard, let me ask you this. Being that you've been in for 20 years, what is your record like? Or were you a model citizen while you were in there, or were you in some issues?
So,
what was going on?
I think my time has been broken into two phases. Initially, when I was sentenced, and I was 16.
Okay.
And I probably was like maybe 140 pounds at the most. And it just, being pushed in this environment, I just like, I'm not going home. This is my home. And in the meantime, while I'm here, I'm not going to be a victim. So the beginning of my record is horrendous. Like, it's terrible.
You were wilding out.
Yeah, anything and everything I needed to do to be comfortable and to be safe, I did.
Wow. Okay. Now, do you think that had anything to do with your pardon or your release?
No, not really, because for like the last, I want to say 7 years, 8 years, I've been infraction free. I've been tutoring other inmates, helping them get their GEDs. Like, I've been more so like the model inmate for the last 7 years. So
basically, for the last 7 years, you have actually grown up.
Yes.
You actually grown up and became a man while in prison.
Yes.
So
exactly.
So Rashard, what I want to know, when you was in court and that judge told you 178 years.
188.
I'm sorry, 188 years. Exactly what went through your mind at that time? Like, did you hear anybody like on the victim side, or did you hear, your lawyer? Did you hear anybody say anything? Did you blank out? Like, what went through your mind? What happened that day when he told you that?
For the most part, I don't even remember. I remember I hearing my little brother crying. But that's about it. I remember me addressing the court, him passing the sentence, my little brother crying, and just them taking me back to the jail.
So what did you think about? Like, nothing went through your mind? You didn't say, "Oh, daggone, I can't believe this." No.
No, I was shocked.
The floor.
I was shocked because prior to getting sentenced, Virginia has guidelines.
Mm-hmm.
Like where they enter in all the factors, this being your first offense, what crimes you committed, how old you were.
Mm-hmm.
And according to Virginia guidelines, the most I was supposed to receive was like 28 years. And that's what my lawyer had been telling me. Like, well, this is your first offense, your first time being in trouble. The guidelines are 28 years, so maybe he give you 28 years and suspend some so you had time over your head. So for him to go from, or for the situation to go from 28 years
to 188.
with some time suspended to the time I got,
because
I don't know.
So basically, the judge went above your guidelines.
Yeah.
He went outside of your guidelines completely.
In Virginia, you can go outside the guidelines, but you're supposed to have given a valid reason for going out of the guidelines.
And what was
He said his reasons for going outside my guidelines, he didn't feel like I was remorseful enough.
Oh, so
You
you
were
tried to make an
16.
example out of you.
And I only been in front of him twice. I've been in front of him the first time to enter the plea agreement, and the second time for him to sentence me. But during those 2 times that I went in front of him, I didn't lie.
So 188 years you supposed to show remorse. He was going to make you show remorse for giving you 188 years. That's so excessive.
That's over. That's triple.
So-
That's more
so-
than triple
Right.
the time.
So how did you feel, Candy, when they told him 188 years? What went through your mind?
We were actually sitting there trying to add up the years as he was spitting them out, and we lost count. And I was like, "You can't do that. Like, that's crazy. We signed a plea agreement, and this is not what I signed for." So, like,
So you signed a plea agreement for how much? For the 28.
for
For how
No,
many?
the plea agreement was for a certain amount of charges.
right,
Okay.
and at that
Like I
time,
think I had like 32 felonies, and both of my co-defendants had already took plea agreements. So my lawyer was like, "It's really nothing to fight. Just I'm gonna try to work out the best deal I can for you."
So what were
So-
some of the charges that you actually had?
I had an aggravated malicious wounding charge, a malicious wounding charge, like 4 robbery charges, conspiracy, abduction, and gun charges for each of those charges.
Now, was anybody hurt in this process of you committing these crimes?
And 2 of the situation, yes. In one of the situation, a male was shot. In the other situation, a female was shot.
So how many times did this happen? Was this all one situation, or was it different situations that
Different
they charged you for?
It was, I think it was like 4 different situations.
Okay.
Okay, so it was 4 different situations, and out of those 4, 2 people were wounded.
Yes.
So what is your thought process like? Far as I understand the judge felt as though you wasn't remorseful. Like, where are you at now with it, being that it has been 20 years?
Right. Have you apologized to the victims or anything? Sent letters or?
Especially, yes, especially dealing with the situation where the female got injured. Because it wasn't a situation where she was intentionally shot. But regardless, so the intention or not, she was injured.
Correct.
And then, like I said, me being the product of me loving my mother and just having sisters and a granddaughter, like, knowing that the hurt and the pain I caused her, in particular, like, they keep me up at night, even still all these years later.
Right. Now, before you hang up, Rashard, tell us, just tell us something that you would want us to know about you, or about, as a matter of fact, what would you tell someone who is going down the path that you went down, a teenager?
I would tell them that overall it's not worth it. Like, the pain that you cause can never be erased. The outcome or the consequences from your actions, you're not really gonna be able to withstand. And even if you are able to mentally and physically withstand them, you don't know the pain that is gonna cause your mother, your child, your grandmother. Like, you don't know how far the effects is gonna carry, so it's not even worth it.
So I understand you have a nonprofit. What is a nonprofit about?
I have a nonprofit called Inspire. It stands for, it's an acronym for Imagination Never Sleeps, Pure Inspiration, recognizes every dream. And I just felt like for the short amount of time that I was committing crimes that I did a lot of damage in the community.
Correct.
And the only way I know how to make amends, like, I'm big on karma. I'm big on balancing scales, or even putting forth the effort to balance scales. And I felt like the only way that I could begin to make amends is, like, if some children who want to be on the right path, if I can help them along.
Okay.
So through my nonprofit, that's what I try to do. I try to help mentor them. We do small business contests during the summer to help them become entrepreneurs.
Okay.
Or even with me personally, how I feel about the effect my crimes had on a particular female, I try to direct a lot of my activities towards the Geneva shelter, the battered women's shelter. And it's just me saying that even if I never get out of here, if I spend the rest of my life in here, that I'm still going to try to
Do the best
balance
you
the
can.
scales. Yeah.
So let me ask you this before you go. If you could talk to the governor, what would you say to him?
Just that I've changed, that I'm not the child that Judge Parker basically sentenced to life.
Keyword child.
Keyword
Yes.
child.
That I'm, even though through all the circumstances that I've grown up to be a strong, resilient man, and that I'm not irredeemable, that I still have a lot to offer to the community.
Okay. Well, Rashard, we thank you for calling in. So I guess I'll talk to you on another note sometime later, or maybe tomorrow, through your mom. But we're gonna talk to your mother now about a mother's love, to see, just like you said, when you're committing these crimes, you're affecting both sides, your side
Okay.
as well as the victim side in these crimes. So we're gonna talk to her for a while, and keep your head up, don't give up, keep praying, and God's gonna see you through. Okay.
And we
I
appreciate
will.
you.
I
Thank you for
appreciate
calling
ladies.
in.
I love you.
Love you too, Mom.
Later, baby.
Later.
Okay, bye-bye. Oh, okay.
So how was that for you, Candy?
Ooh. Wait again a minute.
Because it's like, a mother's love. It's like, women will go to the depths for their kids.
And I think that was the crazy part, because I taught them not to lie, but they taught me never say what your child won't do when you're not around, or when they're not around you. So when I heard about what was happening, and my brother said, Candy, the description fit Rashard. I said, well, Rashard was in school, and Rashard this, and Rashard that. And like he said, I was working. There was plenty of income. So there was no need for robberies. And then when I found out, my thing was, in the beginning, what did I do wrong?
Right, as a mother.
Should I beat them when I put them on punishment? Should I punish them when I beat them? Did I beat them too bad? What did I do? And like I told you before, every single summer Bible study, they was there. One church had it 1 week, y'all know,
Right.
Vacation Bible School
Yeah.
the next week.
Back to back.
Yeah.
They was all up and down from the Toga down Washington Street, going to Vacation Bible Study. I couldn't have sent them to church too much. They was in Sunday school. They was even leaving and going over to what's the one on? Not Ashley, not Faith, but they went to Faith Temple, and they went to
The other one back there. Okay.
yeah. So, what did I do wrong? And when we did finally talk about it, he let me know it wasn't anything that I'd done wrong, other than possibly just had that freedom that he spoke about because I was working. At the end of the day, my biggest thing was, I believe that I forgot about peer pressure. I ain't had to deal with peer pressure. So, Pink, you going?
It's gonna make you cry.
Yeah. I forgot to teach them about peer pressure. And like he said, they was like family. My kids called my co-defendant's mom, aunt, her kids call me.
So they grew up more like cousins.
Yeah. So I was just totally caught off guard. All this extra activity that I just found out about.
Right.
But like he just want a bad kid. And even during the court process, y'all know how Lakeland has used to have the colleges come, college night where you go. Mm-hmm. There was a college that wanted him to come that following summer, his sophomore summer, not his junior, not his senior summer.
So he had good grades. He just got around the wrong crowd and
just followed the wrong person.
So are you and that family still close? Or y'all still
We're
close?
not as close as we were, but my grandson is my grandson's uncle. I'm a great grandmother. It's my great granddaughter's uncle.
Oh, okay.
so it's like it's no way of getting around them.
Right.
So you as a mother, you were trying to process what you did wrong as a mother.
Right.
But to hear him say, Mom, you did nothing wrong, it was me, how does that make you feel?
As a mother, I half believe him. Like, and I understand what he's saying, but I'm your mother. And I know from 97 to 2000, people saw me, but they saw a shell. Like,
What do you mean by that?
because I can't tell you anything from that day leaving that courthouse. Wow. Excuse me, y'all.
You're fine.
And walking back to the toga, knowing my baby had all that time, not, okay, you was wrong and you gonna do some time, but you'll be home. But you possibly not coming ever? That's not what I birthed. This ain't supposed to happen. And you was a friend, so you was an adult. How you let
So I
this
asked you, what's
happen
an adult?
to this child? Why?
So how did Rashard get most time? If he was the child and they were the
I
adult.
promise you, I do not understand. And there's so many loopholes.
In a case.
Right. A few years after him being incarcerated, they had what was called the Baker Law, where if both parents weren't notified and wasn't in the court, then you could take the court case back to court, and the ones that were able to came home, or if it was real bad, it was retried. Rashard no longer had a lawyer.
Wow. So basically, it sounded like
His lawyer dropped the ball, sound like a lot of times.
He dropped a whole lot of balls. And because of karma, and I believe in karma, he's no longer a lawyer. And if I'm not mistaken, he ended up being sentenced to some time.
Really? The lawyer?
Yeah.
Did it have anything to do with
It
Rashard?
didn't.
Oh,
It
okay.
had to do with
another case.
another case. That's for another damn minute.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with all these different laws and stuff passing that could potentially get Rashard home, but it seems like nothing is really coming through. Have y'all obtained a new lawyer?
And we haven't. And he asked me to speak to someone today. And her office called me back. And I'm just waiting to hear from her to see what,
she
if
can do.
anything, she can do. Yeah,
So all these years he been trying to figure stuff out pretty much on his own.
on his own.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of reading. And he'll call and he said, Mom, can you do this? Mom, can you do that? Mom, can you? Like, okay, so he has a nonprofit. And he has, y'all, please buy for my baby. Blackboy.com. BLAKBOI. He has a clothing line.
So let me ask you. So he exhausted all of his appeals, like up to the Supreme Court.
Right. And he hasn't done the Supreme Court because that's the last of the last.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you pretty much would need a lawyer for that,
And you
though, right?
definitely need a lawyer.
Yeah.
Which is
So
gonna
you
cost
would
money.
need to get a
Right.
lawyer.
So go ahead, Miss Go Getter.
No, I think Pine was gonna say something. She haven't said.
Have you
anything.
ever tried to like do like a GoFundMe or anything as far as like that?
Oh, to help with the
You know,
lawyer and
have
stuff.
it.
With lawyers?
And you know what it is? It's part pride. And in the beginning, I just felt like, who am I to ask people to donate and he's guilty? Because a lot of people are not going to look at it as, oh, he was a child and all the other stipulations. They just going to look at it as, he's just another statistic.
No, but you still can try because
Not to
people
be
be
so fair, but
yeah,
try.
right.
And
'cause
I do
people
feel
get
different. I
GoFundMe
feel
a lot.
different now, but when it first happened, and again, when we talk, what got me through it was the community, because they didn't feel the way I thought. They wasn't looking at me, and people would come up to me and say, "Candy, hold your head up. It's not your fault. You beat them children. You put them children on punishment. We knew you was strict. They couldn't do this, that, and the third. So
Right.
it's not your fault." And I felt better.
Okay.
But at the same time, at least the lady that was affected, her in-laws and I, it's like family.
Oh.
He didn't know,
Okay.
but we were like family. So
So how did that make you feel when you realized
Oh,
that
baby.
your son,
Right.
committed a crime and then it was against somebody that you consider family?
Extended family, right?
I was angry and I was hurt. I was angry because there was no reason for it. And I was hurt because, like I said, and like he said, that's somebody's mother. That's my best friend's in-law. Like, his co-defendant had any type of connection to these people.
Right, but he did.
Yeah. So I felt some type of way because I put the shoe on the other foot. What if it was somebody else's child and it was me?
Okay.
How I'ma feel? And they have spoke, and she wrote a letter that we cannot locate. But in the letter, she said that she forgave him the day that the judge gave a child that much time and walked him out the courtroom.
So have you thought about getting her? You said you can't locate it. So is she able to write another one?
I don't have access to her. And when I first spoke with her, I went through her husband because that's who
you know.
Yeah, and we was connected too. And I asked him, was it all right with him for me to speak to her? And he said that was fine. She's had so many surgeries.
From the incident?
incident.
Right. And you wouldn't know, but she knows.
Right.
So I get it.
Where did she get injured at?
Thanks to her testimony. Because the police said she was shot in the face point blank range. That's not what happened. She said when she saw someone coming, she told the stores they were getting ready to be robbed. At the same time, he thought she was going for a gun and panicked. He had the gun behind him, he said, and pulled the trigger by mistake. He thought the safety was on because the co-defendant handed him the gun, parked someplace else, and told him, go do this.
So the co-defendant,
So
which
he
is
didn't
an
even go
adult.
with him.
Right.
He wasn't even with him.
Not
on
for
the
that
scene.
one. Nope. He was parked over in Nassau Square. And they told me there's a path. For a long time, I couldn't ride past that store or the square.
What, Greenfield?
But there's a path.
Greenfield?
It is a pass. It's a pass.
It's
Okay.
a path in the back. That's what I'm saying. Is it? You saying that it's
From
connected?
Nassau Square. Oh, I know that path. They could walk across that field.
Okay.
It comes like this
Yeah.
to the store parking lot. It goes just like this.
Right,
up
but
to
they
the-
come
Okay.
to the store that's at the end of
Right.
Greenfield, right?
Right.
And
The Greenfield, they store was there back then?
Yeah, girl, that's an
It's been
old
there for
store.
years.
Girl, that's
wow.
been there forever.
Okay.
Okay. And they It went off. It hit a display and ricocheted off the display and hit the cooler and hit her behind her ear and exited the bridge of her nose.
Wow. That was definitely like a freak accident.
A freak accident.
Yeah, because
well, not accident,
the way that
but
it hit
freak. Yeah.
incident, the way that the bullet went through several things before hitting her.
Right. So I kind of feel like, and it's going to sound crazy, I feel like it was a blessing because he was stopped. And Queen Latifah set it off, had just came out. I wouldn't let him see it. But the co-defendant went and saw it. And the co-defendant got his girlfriend's clothes and wigs, and they dressed up.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
So he was dressed up like a girl when he did it.
I don't know if this particular one, but it was one where
of the
they,
other one.
where they was dressed.
So you had no idea about none of this
No
until
idea.
after this last incident, and he was.
Not even after the last incident. I want to say about 2 months later, they came to my home, and they just wanted to question him. Suffolk Police, the detectives, and he wasn't there. But I told him when he got back, I would have him call him. So I went to where I thought he was, and he was there, and I said, the police want to talk to you, because I'm still dumb to it.
Right.
And he said, well, Mom, what they want? I said, I don't know. But at the time, he had Timothy Miller. So Timothy said he didn't have to go talk to him, but I already knew they was going to keep coming back and forth to the house. So not knowing the law like I know now, we can go talk to him. And Tim said, don't say nothing. If they keep you, they just keep you. You already out on bond. We'll either get another bond or you just sit there. They'll send you back to TDH.
What was he on bond for?
So he violated too.
No, he didn't. He was on bond for, oh my God.
Did it have anything to do with the robberies and everything that was going
It didn't.
on? Okay, it had nothing to do with that.
So basically, Rashard was just, and I don't want to seem facetious when I say this, but he was just
Wilding out.
wilding out.
A busybody.
Basically
Doing too
wilding
much.
out. And without being caught, he was just going.
And later on, I
Yeah,
found
so-
out that he was smoking weed with the adult. So
let me ask this right quick, because I didn't get it. When you said an adult, how old was this person?
20-something.
And he was 16?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, he was 16 when he was convicted. He was younger when he was committing the crimes.
And this person
15,
was
16.
Okay.
Yep.
And this person was 20-some years old?
Yeah.
Oh, ain't no way.
So while all this was going on, and after you started to realize, after you realized that this was your child that committed all of these crimes, from then to now, like, what events have took place in your life that you might feel like is because of that? Do you feel like anything has really affected you so much because of what he's going through?
I'm sure it has. I can't off the top of my head think of anything. I know. So that meant I had to find someplace else to live real quick with his two younger brothers.
Right.
So I think it made me a go-getter. Because I still had to be there for the other two. And I had to get them through it mentally. So I don't think I never really focused on me or took time for me.
Time to really,
Yeah.
right. But even if it was events like you might not blame it on that. You might just feel like you was.
Yeah, like maybe it was just fate, but that's the only thing that I can really think of was losing the house.
What about his brothers? Because I know he said he was one of them was crying. I'm assuming that was probably yeah.
He was crushed. And it's affected him big time. And because he's so private, I'm not gonna say a lot,
Right.
but
That's fine.
I feel like, and I have said this before, that he's been in trouble. Not anything like Rashard, but he's been in trouble. And I feel like it was intentional, unconsciously intentional, so that he could get to his brother. That's how much he loved Rashard. And I told him, regardless of what you do, there's no guarantee that they're going to put you with your brother.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Wait again a minute.
So a mother's love. So yet you have one that has been sentenced to all these years, and you still have two at home.
Right.
So you're still trying to balance, in reality, what's going on with him, and then you're trying to keep them on straight and narrow too.
And guess what? He got in trouble.
Is he still there?
No.
Okay.
So
He's home.
But he did get to spend some time with his
He
brother.
did. Not only did he end up at Sussex, they ended up in the same pod, and they was working towards going into the same cell.
Do they have the same last name?
Nope.
That's the key. Because I could say
Yeah.
normally when they go into a system like that, they try to keep them on separate halls,
Right.
separate units, because it's a conflict. They can get in there.
If sick the dogs on him, they would by that next week they would have been in the same cell.
Sit the dogs on him.
On the youngest one, yeah.
For what?
That's another
Oh.
way. Yeah, man.
Wow. So you were getting it on both ends. So as a mother, I mean, I understand that you probably felt shame
And I did in the
Right.
beginning. But like I said, once the community was like just
Embracing
different
you.
ones, yeah. And there's another lady, and she came to me. Both her sons got into trouble at the same time. And she said, Candy, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you hold your head up, you smiling. But at that time, I was just a shell.
Yeah.
Like I had to work, I had to provide for those two. But yeah, I don't, the grace of God.
So you and the other family, have y'all ever actually talked to each other about the situation, even when it was going on, even after they got never?
You know what's crazy? The day my grandson was born, I don't know, again, maybe just fate, but we got into an argument. Both grandmothers, me and her, we got into an argument, and that changed everything. Because there was words that were said that you can't take back.
So the dynamic of the relationship had changed because
Yeah.
words were exchanged.
Yeah. And I love her, don't get me wrong. I love her to life. And I truly love her. Like, the Bible says you're supposed to love everybody. You ain't got to like everybody, but you're supposed to love everybody. And I love her, and I don't wish anything bad on her, any ill will. But we're not like we were.
Right. Yeah, because you would have thought that at least y'all would have had some type of conversation, even when the trial was going on. Y'all could have pulled
She
together.
sat over there, and I sat over here.
Well, I
So
couldn't
she
see
might
them
have felt
having
guilty too, though. She might have felt guilty that her grown child
And
was
it's
leading
possible.
a young boy to
I know
do something.
one time it did come up due to the co-defendant's wife calling me. But what I said to his wife caused her to tell her mother-in-law what I said, and I meant what I said, and I still mean what I said. And there was a death, and I went to check on her, and she said, well, Candy, both our boys were wrong.
Right.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, they were.
So as a mother, I mean, I understand no one was nobody died, but someone was physically hurt. I will, yes, he is incarcerated. Yes, he received this overwhelming amount of years. But some will look at it as, well, you still can go and see him. You still physically have your son.
Right.
You can talk to your son. Like, what would you say if someone told you, well, she doing all of that, but she can talk to him. I can't talk to my son. I can't see my daughter.
And I would sympathize with him. And I've said it. I thank God that I can go to whatever institution it is. Well, you can't now thanks to COVID. But I can still talk to him on the phone.
Right.
Versus going to Carver, looking at a stone. So I'm thankful for that. And again, I feel like, and I was talking about it today, I feel like that's the reason for it. We never understand God's plan, but he has a plan.
Right.
And with all that he's doing from there and all the courses that he's taken and college courses that he's taken now and certificates that he's received and diplomas, it may not have happened if he was out here.
Still out here.
Correct.
He could have just got so distracted and me working, trying to provide. Anything could have happened.
That could have happened.
Yeah.
Something worse could have happened to him.
Right.
Right.
So it may sound crazy. I'm thankful that it happened, but the amount of time is just ridiculous.
Right. Now,
It is.
The amount of time is
totally
really
agree.
ridiculous.
And he did a petition, change.org,
Right.
where he told his story for the most part. And we got,
I know he needed like 1,100 signatures or something like that,
I
but
think-
he has
yeah.
surpassed that.
I think,
Yeah.
February?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, end of January, 1st of February. And it's still up.
Okay.
But I've printed it out, and he's made a book to send to the parole board with everything that he's accomplished
Right.
while he's taking college courses now. He did early childhood development, and
So
for the life
if
of
you
me, I don't
could,
remember
if
the other ones.
you being a mother of a son that's incarcerated, what would you tell another mother to help her get through it? Because I know a lot of times, people say, well, you can't tell somebody something, but I just think if you're something like that, it may seem a little more personable.
I think, first of all, always, I don't care what kind of friendship, kinship, what kind of relationship, communication is everything. And I had to let him know. After this, no lies. I don't want any lies about anything. I need to know so that I can process it so it can make sense to me. Because if I can't process it, it doesn't make sense.
Right.
So, communicate with your child and be open to whatever it is that they say. We may not like it. I'm quite sure there was stuff that my parents didn't like, but I communicated with them. And we don't always have to fuss or argue or, I don't know, maybe put them down about it. Just hear them out and back them no matter what. And I'm not saying lie for them. I'm not saying put your house up for them. If you know your child gonna run, then they need to sit where they are.
Right.
Don't lose what you've worked hard for, especially if you got other kids. But make yourself available. If it comes to the point where they're incarcerated, put money on the books.
When you can't.
Answer the phone. Write letters. You can't do cards now, but now they got email. So email. You don't know how to email? Find somebody who can email. Find somebody who can teach you how to do what needs to be done. But communicate with your child and support them no matter what. I don't
Be
care
that
what
listening
nobody
ear.
say.
Yeah. That's right, and that's basically what it's about. Like a mother's love runs deep, and I think it runs deeper than I can physically sit here and see. But how do you cope?
You know what? I'm not sure that I do.
So you just pretty much just go on your day and try not to focus on it.
I'm hyper.
Mm-hmm.
I've calmed down a little bit because I'm older, and my children are hyper. But I'm not sure that I really cope. I just do what has to be done day to day, and I always have. It's crazy, and forgive me, Snooky, if you see this, but my husband and Rashard got incarcerated a week apart, and I wasn't expecting either one of them to be incarcerated. So that left me as a single parent, raising two boys. I ain't had time to concentrate on me or be concerned about me. And I went through a period, I learned afterwards, I went through a period of depression. I didn't realize I was depressed at the time, but what I would do is get up, get them ready for school. Ricky, that's my middle son. Well, everybody knows him as Rick Bone. My middle son, trying to think, LC might have been, but he was definitely at Lakeland. And get up, get them up, and lay back down. And then I get up, have to use the bathroom, I wash my face, brush my teeth, lay back down. And the next time I get up and maybe want some water or I have to use the bathroom, I'll wash the rest of me and lay back down. And the next time, by the time they was home from school, I might have been fully dressed, but their food was cooked. And if they needed help with homework, it was done. And I went to work. I always had a second shift job because in my mind, you don't need a babysitter at night because your kid's going to go to sleep.
Go to sleep, right.
So go to work and you get the night shift differential. So go to work, do what you got to do, come back home. And I just always been on go.
So this is a little off, but we talked about that he had kids. That he have kids. Are they a part of him? Like, do they go and visit him when they could? And how's their
I'm gonna show you
relationship?
the pictures afterwards. I stood on the porch, 16 Mason Street, and cried. They done took my baby, and I ain't even got no grandchildren, and he ain't never gonna have no grandchildren. Nobody to carry on his name. 2 years later, I find out not only do I have one grandson, you got two. Now the first one that I saw, which is his youngest, I looked at that baby. Rashard was 9 pounds 12 ounces at birth, and my friend used to call him Head and Shoulders because he looked like he ain't had no neck. This baby was a big baby, no neck, head rolling around. I said, that baby looked like somebody. So when Rashard called, I said, so-and-so had a baby. That baby looked like somebody. And he said, Mom, hold on, let me check on something. I'm going to get back with you. So later on, I get a letter. And he said, I think that's my baby.
Wow. So he wasn't even notified either.
Nope. I said, what? So I'm excited now because I'm going to be a grandmother. And he is going to have somebody carry on his name. And it's a boy.
Right.
Won't even in that baby's life.
So you're not in that baby's life either?
And I know him and he knows me. If I reach out holidays, I see him. He's never spent the night over my house. I've never babysat him. They said I was strict on mine, and they didn't want him to get beatings and punishments and whatever. So, yeah. And it's the same thing with the great-grand. If I go to her grandmother's house, I see her. Well, her great-grandmother, I see her. But as far as me keeping and interacting,
So before we wrap up, it's like when we have any discussion, it seems like we don't have enough time. It's like so much, we're trying to get so much out. But before we go, we have a couple of more questions. One of them is, why do you feel as though he needs to be released? Not because he's your son and your
no,
love ring.
not. That would be on the bottom of the list.
Okay.
I seen such a development in him. I seen where it's not gonna sound good, but prison grew him into a man. And I don't think I could have been able to do that because I would have been mothering him and that's my baby. And all that he's accomplished, I know that he has more to give and to do out here free. And he doesn't deserve, no child deserves to be locked up all their life. It just doesn't make sense.
Right.
We don't even do that to animals. Even with him being, if he had been grown and it happened, 188 years. And when you get finished suspending, he still has 72 years active before he's eligible for parole. That's crazy. Even if he had been an adult and able to understand and know what he was doing,
It was very excessive.
yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me. And I haven't been able to wrap my mind around that.
That judge was way off. It was a judge here in Suffolk.
It was.
Parker.
Westbrook
Oh,
J.
man.
Parker. He's no longer here.
Ooh.
He's retired. But he was upset, although it wasn't drug related.
Systemic racism. A lot was
Right.
going on.
Yeah.
And because his daughter died of an overdose,
He took a lot out on
Right.
people that came in front of
right,
him.
and I don't,
Oh, really?
I'm not racist. Rashard says I am, but I'm not racist. But I'm just real. And at the time, his daughter was purchasing drugs from a black person, and he was angry.
Oh, yeah, and that would probably make sense.
But that's a known
Yeah.
factor. That is.
Yeah,
A lot of people have said the same thing.
yeah.
Oh, they should have did something about that.
So what made you come on Wait Again Minute? Like,
Because y'all are laid back and you ask real questions and you don't cut off. If it's something that needs to be said, you let it be said. And I'm comfortable. I know y'all. So I'm comfortable. I could talk. And I know that y'all ain't coming at me like, ah,
right.
or judgmental. Y'all are non-judgmental. And I like the support. I like the support.
Right. So when Rashard reached out or when he sent the link or whatever, I kind of knew you guys.
Right.
I didn't know that he's just turned 40 though. So that's crazy. But I just felt like I don't know being that I'm not physically a mother.
Right.
I don't know how I would process it, but you look as though you're doing fine, you're carrying it well,
Thank
and
you.
I thank God for the type of mother that you are strong, because with all of that, and then with your husband, like it was coming from you at every angle. So, and God sustained you through it all.
Because he's good like that.
Yes.
He's good like that. And that made it that much better for me because I could see it now from a spiritual perspective. And I thank God for George who? Come on
George
now.
Floyd?
No. Wait a damn minute. You can say that through
George who?
No.
Oh, Governor Northam?
No.
Who?
Pine Street.
Oh, our old pastor, George Johnson.
Okay.
George McKinley Johnson.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, that was tough. She like
George
George
McKinley
Floyd.
Johnson. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, right, because you had him in. So as a mother, I can, I can't fathom where you were, because in your eyes, you had him in church. You had them in
Bible study.
Bible school, Bible study. It's like,
You have
Sunday
what else
school.
am I supposed to do? They couldn't go to sleep in church. You know, like, so what else am I supposed to do?
What
as a
happened when
mother?
they went to sleep or dozed off?
Yeah, you pop them, make them stand up or
My
something like
husband
that.
used to make them stand up. You're not going to sleep in church. You don't go to sleep in school. You're not
Right.
going to sleep in church.
So he knows the Bible very well too.
So, and it's just one of those things where, you know, it's just unfortunate, but, you know, like you said, it was the amount of time that he was given is very excessive.
Yeah,
So
I think
where do
that's
we
the
go
issue.
from here? Like, is it,
Okay, so we had packets for the parole board when they're ready, and
Okay.
for Clint Jenkins,
Delegate Clint Jenkins?
Delegate
Okay.
Clint Jenkins, Delegate Don Scott. What else?
So you're trying to get before his pack, you're trying to get paperwork before the governor. On
Right.
the governor's desk.
To see if and like he said, he did the because you asked what was it?
Yeah, ask what was it?
The conditional pardon.
Conditional pardon.
And that's when you ask the governor for a pardon with conditions to it, like I'm not innocent, I wasn't perfect, but I've done this, this, and this.
Right.
Could you see fit to release me?
Mm-hmm.
It's somewhere in Richmond between downstairs and upstairs where the governor is.
So when y'all send all these things, do y'all make copies just in case it mysteriously get lost?
I cannot, for the life of me, find the copies to the conditional part, to the packet we sent for the conditional pardon. And we was able to go back and find everything except for the letter from
The victim.
the victim. All the other victims have passed from old age or whatever. There was one victim. Unfortunately, he was shot. Fortunately, because they found out he had cancer at the early stage and was able to give him the chemo and radiation to
Sustain him.
for a while. But she's the only one that's still living. And it would really be good because one of the questions is he a threat to society, or how does the victim, would he be a threat to the victim? The victim's already stated.
Right.
You're forgiven, and
But I
she
believe
don't
now,
look
even now, I think if they do the probation or pardon, I think they would have to go back to the victim to see where she is now, because maybe her statement now can actually, it's more, you know,
Powerful.
in-depth. Right, because it has been 20 years.
right.
So she may say, well, yes, I forgave him and speak her piece about it.
Right.
Right, but you said you don't want to go back and ask for the letter again.
I not even the letter, if she would write something, but I don't know how to contact her. I don't think they live in Suffolk anymore,
Okay.
and
You don't want to ask the in-laws.
I know, and the in-laws are not comfortable getting in the middle of it.
Okay.
So I understand that, because if it was the shoe was on the other foot, I wouldn't want to. So I would rather go directly to her husband
Right.
or her, but I don't have a phone number. Her son's incarcerated. Because the last time that we spoke, I just happened to see her son. I gave him a ride because he was doing bad, and he called his mom for me, and I talked to her.
Okay.
But
So I
that's
think,
not going to
I
happen.
think personally what I'm thinking is, and correct me if I'm wrong, you may not want to contact her because you may not feel comfortable or feel worthy enough may not be an accurate
And
statement.
that might be accurate.
but because that's your son and you feel some type of way reaching out to her.
I want to
you committed
for
a
my
crime.
son, but if I put the shoe on the other foot, in my mind, I would probably be like, the nerve of her. You got the audacity.
But that's
to
something
come.
that you have to pray about.
Yeah.
Pray about it and let
Because that
God
might
lead
not be
you.
the case.
And
That
she
might not be the case.
feel
Right.
And she might not feel that way no more. Because
she
she might like, oh, okay, that was
Because she
24
still
years ago.
said
Yeah.
Yeah.
the
So
fact that they gave him that many years,
Right.
you know, that,
She forgave him.
yeah.
And that was years later when she wrote this letter to him. It's
Right.
just
So I just think, you know, the way to go now is just pray. Pray, and you're going to have to really dig in there because you're his only ally.
right.
You know, he can't do but so much from behind those walls.
So now
So-
you're working on the lawyer and all of that and doing the packet and all that to try to move to the next step from that law that passed in July.
Right.
Okay. Okay.
So
Yeah.
do you believe that
Yes,
he
ma'am.
will be free?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get all that together.
2000, I was working at Gwatney on the baking line, and I couldn't put the bacon up there to save my life. But just like I'm talking to you now, and I've told plenty of people this, like you hear me, I heard God say, He's not going to do all that time.
Mm.
And from that point, I was at peace. I think that's when I came back, because like I said, 97 to 2000, it's a blur. I can't tell you anything, but I can tell you from 2000 up. Yeah.
Right.
So I just hold on to that. I know he's not going to do all that time. I know I'm going to see him free.
You're gonna keep fighting.
Yeah.
So basically, from here, we're gonna pray. We're gonna fight. You know, until you can't fight anymore. And you know, like I said, you have to be the one that get in the mud. People are gonna come up against you because things that he did, you know, it wasn't an innocent thing. It's something that he
Right.
actually did.
Right.
Went out and committed those crimes. So people are gonna come up against you, but you just stand flat. But I mean, that's your son.
Right.
At the end of the day, you birthed him, you know, so it is what it is. But
40
we thank you.
years ago. Oh,
40
my.
years ago. 40 years
Yeah,
ago.
It's just like crazy. So he basically grew up in prison.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, he grew up, so he missed a whole lot. Well, we enjoyed you, and
Thank
we
y'all.
enjoyed
I
Rashard.
enjoyed y'all.
We appreciate him calling in. We appreciate you coming and tell us the story. But one more time, tell us that link again.
Blackboy.com.
And then-
BLAKBOI.com.
And then the other link for the petition. You said
Change.org, and it
I'll link
is
it.
Rashard, Rashard, Leary, Leary.
Okay, well,
And support his nonprofit, Inspired.
So where are the funds going for the Inspired?
For whatever he comes up with for the children.
Okay.
February, we gave away books and gift cards.
Okay.
so he don't try to use it for like to help himself. He used it for
No,
the kids.
it's for the kids.
Well, that's good.
It's really good.
That's
It was
good.
hard to give away free books. People, come on. He has done the entrepreneurship that he talked about. The first one, the guy he wanted to have a lawnmower business. So he got the lawnmower, the weed eater, business cards, flyers, and a T-shirt. And then this summer just passed, the little girl wanted to do T-shirts. So she got the whole press machine and
Oh,
the
that
cutout
is
things
wonderful.
and all of that.
See, that's wonderful because he could really use the funds to try to help get him a lawyer or anything.
Right.
But that's good. He putting it back out for the
He
kids.
wants to give back,
Right.
y'all.
So
that's
and I
good.
think that'll help him as well. That's, you know, positivity. Because like you said, he's not taking a dollar and, you know, putting it on himself. But before we go, we always ask I can say clients. I'm used to saying that all day. Ask our guests here at Wait Again Minute for some feedback, some inspiration,
I've
some
Thinking about that.
how you feel about Wait Again Minute. Be honest now. We know you're gonna be honest.
Yeah. I don't. Y'all are doing it. And y'all improve with every session. Like, I don't know nothing. And I've been thinking about, I promise, because I heard you ask,
That's it.
count it up. And I said, oh, what do do they need to improve on?
Well,
But-
it's not so necessarily an improvement. It's just like you can speak upon, your visit here today. When you see us, like you said, one thing you said, we improve every episode. Or what do you see us
Well,
doing?
and you pretty much said something a little while ago earlier when you said that you was comfortable, we was laid back. So,
Okay.
Words of wisdom.
But you said I intimidated you earlier though, but we ain't gonna talk about that. That's another show.
Intimidated you.
I don't know
No,
what
I
she's
intimidated
talking
her.
about. That was not the word that I used.
Well, we really enjoyed you again for coming on.
She was finished.
No, I
Oh, you was finished. Okay.
Yes, cause she did her shit like this. Now, okay, don't talk. Don't ask me nothing else now.
I was getting comfortable in case there was something else.
Okay.